If this message reaches your awareness at this exact moment, it's because your consciousness has evolved to recognize the most profound secret about healing that has remained hidden throughout human history: the inseparable connection between quantum healing and emotional balance. The physical symptoms you've been trying to heal, the emotional patterns that seem resistant to change, the sense that something deeper needs to shift for true wellness to emerge. All of it points to the hidden link that transforms both emotional and physical experience simultaneously. This hidden link operates through what researchers call psychoneuroimmunology, the science of how emotions directly influence immune function and cellular regeneration. But what they haven't discovered is that this connection works at quantum levels, where consciousness, emotion, and physical healing are revealed as one unified field, expressing itself through apparent separation between mind, heart, and body. The synchronicity that brought you to this understanding means your awareness has reached a threshold where emotional healing and physical restoration can no longer be approached as separate processes. Your system has been preparing for this recognition through every moment when emotional shifts created unexpected physical improvements, or when physical treatments failed until emotional patterns were addressed. Something in the healing intelligence of the universe recognized that you're ready for the understanding that revolutionizes both emotional work and physical healing. The recognition that emotions aren't just feelings that affect your body, but quantum information that directly programs cellular function, immune responses, and the body's capacity for regeneration and optimal performance. Right now, without trying to change any emotion you might be experiencing, can you sense that there's an intelligence in your emotional responses that carries healing information? Every feeling, whether comfortable or challenging, contains quantum data about what your system needs for restoration, balance, and the kind of emotional stability that supports rather than interferes with physical well-being. You've been experiencing signs of this hidden link through moments when emotional release created immediate physical relief, haven't you? Times when processing grief allowed chronic pain to dissolve, when expressing authentic anger released tension that massage couldn't touch, or when states of joy and appreciation generated vitality that no supplement had provided. The reason this link is revealing itself now isn't accidental. Humanity is ready to understand healing as a unified process where emotional balance and physical wellness emerge together through consciousness alignment rather than being addressed through separate therapeutic approaches that miss the quantum connection between feeling and healing. The connection between your emotions and physical well-being has become undeniably obvious in your daily experience, hasn't it? When you're stressed, worried, or emotionally depleted, your body responds immediately with changes in energy, digestion, sleep quality, or immune function. Conversely, periods of genuine joy, peace, or emotional fulfillment seem to enhance your physical vitality in ways that transcend logical explanation. Your most profound healing experiences have probably involved emotional components that weren't addressed by physical treatments alone. Chronic conditions that resisted medical intervention but improved when underlying emotional patterns were acknowledged and processed. Symptoms that flared during periods of emotional stress regardless of how well you maintained physical health protocols. You've likely noticed that certain emotions seem to lodge themselves in specific areas of your body, creating physical tension, discomfort, or dysfunction that doesn't respond to purely physical intervention. Heartbreak that manifests as chest tightness, anxiety that creates digestive issues, or suppressed anger that generates headaches and muscle tension. Perhaps you've experienced the frustration of physical treatments that provide temporary relief, but don't address the emotional patterns that seem to recreate the same symptoms. Massage that releases tension for a few days before the emotional stress recreates the same muscle tightness. Medications that manage symptoms without touching the emotional dynamics that appear to trigger physical problems. The timing of physical symptoms often correlates with emotional events in ways that seem too consistent to be coincidental. illness that emerges during periods of loss or major life transitions, injuries that occur when you're feeling emotionally vulnerable or overwhelmed, recovery that accelerates when emotional support and processing are included in healing protocols. Your intuitive knowing about the emotional components of physical conditions has become increasingly accurate, even when medical analysis focuses only on physical factors. You sense when physical symptoms are connected to unexpressed emotions, unresolved trauma, or patterns of emotional suppression that create internal stress, regardless of external circumstances. Sometimes emotional release creates immediate physical improvements that surprise both you and healthcare providers. Crying that relieves headaches more effectively than pain medication. Expressing anger that resolves digestive problems. Forgiveness practices that reduce inflammation markers or improve immune function in ways that purely physical interventions hadn't achieved. You might have noticed that your emotional state directly influences your body's response to treatments, foods, and environmental factors. The same meal affects you differently depending on your emotional state when eating. Medications work more effectively when you're emotionally balanced. Exercise either energizes or exhausts you based on your emotional condition, rather than just your physical fitness level. The relationship feels so integrated that separating emotional and physical healing no longer makes sense, yet most healthcare approaches continue to address them as independent systems. You sense that true healing requires understanding how consciousness organizes both emotional patterns and physical function through quantum processes that transcend conventional mind-body dualism. Every moment when emotional healing and physical restoration seemed like separate challenges, every frustration with treatments that addressed symptoms without touching underlying emotional patterns, every period when you sensed that something deeper needed to shift for true wellness to emerge, has been preparing your consciousness to recognize the hidden link that makes emotional balance and quantum healing inseparable aspects of one unified process. The disappointment you felt with purely physical approaches to healing tells a perfect story of preparation for understanding that sustainable wellness emerges when emotional and physical restoration are recognized as simultaneous expressions of consciousness, organizing itself around wholeness rather than maintaining separation between mind and body. Think of how a river naturally flows around obstacles, carving new channels that restore balance to the entire ecosystem. Your journey through both emotional challenges and physical symptoms has been consciousness learning to identify and release the patterns that block natural flow between emotional authenticity and physical vitality. Every attempt to heal physical symptoms without addressing emotional components was preparing you to understand that quantum healing operates through the recognition that emotions and physical function are both expressions of consciousness, exploring its creative potential through the magnificent complexity of human experience. The timing of your most significant emotional and physical challenges corresponds perfectly with your consciousness developing enough sensitivity to eventually recognize that healing happens most efficiently when both emotional authenticity and physical restoration are supported through unified approaches that honor the quantum connection between feeling and cellular function. Your system has been like a musical instrument, gradually learning to create harmony between emotional expression and physical well-being. The discord, the symptoms that seemed unrelated to emotions, the emotional patterns that seemed disconnected from physical health. All of it was preparation for recognizing the coherent functioning that emerges when consciousness aligns with its nature as unified healing intelligence. The resistance you've felt toward approaches that treat emotions and physical health as separate systems has been your deeper wisdom, recognizing that fragmented healing maintains the very separation patterns that interfere with natural restoration processes that work through emotional-physical integration. Even your concerns about whether addressing emotional patterns will actually improve physical symptoms have been consciousness ensuring that when the hidden link is recognized, it will be based on genuine understanding rather than wishful thinking that dissolves when challenges require integrated responses. Something extraordinary is beginning to integrate in your understanding right now. Can you sense it? That recognition of how your emotional experiences and physical sensations are actually different expressions of the same healing intelligence organizing itself through your awareness of emotional balance and physical wellness, revealing themselves as inseparable aspects of one unified restoration process. Your nervous system is literally reconfiguring as this recognition deepens. Neural pathways that have maintained separation between emotional processing and physical healing are beginning to form integrated networks that support whole system restoration rather than fragmented approaches that miss the quantum connection between consciousness, emotion, and cellular function. The electromagnetic field of your heart-brain system is organizing into coherent patterns that support simultaneous emotional balance and physical optimization. When your bioelectric field achieves integration between emotional authenticity and physical vitality, it creates optimal conditions for the kind of healing that transcends conventional understanding of how restoration actually occurs. Your cellular intelligence is beginning to respond to the coherent emotional information that emerges when consciousness recognizes feelings as quantum data about what your system needs for optimal function. Every emotion carries healing instructions that your body can implement when emotional authenticity is honored rather than suppressed or managed. Notice how your awareness of both emotional and physical sensations is naturally becoming more integrated and informative. Emotions feel more connected to physical well-being, and physical sensations carry emotional information that guides you toward choices that support both emotional balance and physical restoration simultaneously. But here's what's building in your consciousness that will completely transform both your emotional experience and physical health. The recognition that the hidden link isn't something you need to create through technique. It's something you need to stop interfering with through the belief that emotions and physical healing are separate processes that require different approaches. The reason this integration is becoming available now is because your awareness has developed enough sensitivity through both emotional and physical challenges to appreciate the profound healing that emerges when emotional authenticity and physical restoration are recognized as simultaneous expressions of consciousness organizing itself around wholeness. The hidden link doesn't just affect your individual healing, it creates resonance patterns that activate integrated wellness in everyone within your energetic field. When you demonstrate the connection between emotional balance and physical vitality, people around you naturally begin accessing their own emotional-physical integration. Feel this unifying presence building in your awareness as we explore the most profound secret of how consciousness uses emotions as the bridge between awareness and cellular healing, creating the foundation for wellness that transcends the artificial separation between psychological and physical health. 4 years ago, I was trapped in a cycle where physical symptoms and emotional imbalance seemed to feed each other in ways that made healing feel impossible. Chronic inflammation that flared during emotional stress, anxiety that worsened when physical symptoms increased, and a growing sense that conventional approaches were missing something fundamental about how emotional and physical healing actually work together. The frustrating part wasn't just the symptoms themselves, it was the fragmented approach that every healthcare provider offered. Medical doctors focused exclusively on physical factors while dismissing emotional components. Therapists addressed emotional patterns without acknowledging their connection to physical symptoms. Alternative practitioners often recognized the connection, but lacked effective approaches for addressing both simultaneously. I had become an expert in managing emotional and physical symptoms as separate challenges, spending enormous energy trying to coordinate different treatments and practitioners who seemed to be working on different aspects of the same underlying issue. The left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing, and I was caught in the middle trying to integrate approaches that weren't designed to work together. The breakthrough came during what felt like my most challenging period, when I realized that my attempts to heal emotional patterns and physical symptoms separately were actually maintaining the very separation that prevented integrated healing. Every technique that addressed emotions without honoring physical responses was incomplete. Every physical treatment that ignored emotional components was missing crucial healing information. The moment I stopped trying to manage emotions and physical symptoms as separate problems and started becoming curious about how they might be different expressions of the same healing intelligence, everything began to shift. I discovered that emotions carry quantum information about what my body needs for restoration, and physical symptoms often contain emotional guidance about what needs to be expressed or released. The hidden link revealed itself as this: my body and emotions were constantly communicating healing information to each other, but my consciousness had been trained to interpret this communication as separate problems rather than integrated guidance. When I learned to listen to emotions as physical healing instructions and to physical sensations as emotional information, both systems began functioning more coherently. Within months of recognizing and honoring this hidden link, both my emotional stability and physical health transformed in ways that surprised everyone involved in my care. Not because I found better treatments, but because I discovered how to support the natural integration between emotional authenticity and physical restoration that happens when consciousness stops maintaining artificial separation. The chronic inflammation resolved as I learned to express emotions authentically rather than suppressing them. Anxiety decreased dramatically when I honored the physical information that emotions were providing about my system's needs. Most remarkably, my emotional resilience became unshakable as my body learned to support emotional balance through optimal physical function. The recognition that changed everything was understanding that I wasn't someone who had separate emotional and physical problems. I was unified healing intelligence temporarily experiencing fragmentation through consciousness patterns that could be integrated rather than managed separately. Now I use every emotional experience as guidance for physical well-being and every physical sensation as information about emotional authenticity. The hidden link has become my primary healing approach, creating wellness that emerges through integration rather than management of separate symptoms. If you've been frustrated by approaches that treat emotional and physical health as separate challenges, if you've sensed that true healing requires integration rather than fragmentation, if you've experienced the connection between emotional balance and physical vitality but lacked understanding of how to work with this link consistently, then you're ready to discover the hidden connection that transforms both emotional and physical experience simultaneously. Subscribe and keep walking this path of healing with us. Not just to this channel, but to this recognition that emotional balance and quantum healing are different expressions of the same consciousness organizing itself around wholeness, rather than maintaining separation between mind and body. Here's what psychology, medicine, and even holistic healing approaches don't want you to understand about the hidden link between quantum healing and emotional balance. Every method that treats emotions and physical health as separate systems actually reinforces the fundamental fragmentation that prevents integrated healing from occurring naturally. This separation itself maintains the patterns that create both emotional imbalance and physical dysfunction. The revolutionary recognition that makes integrated healing effortless is this: emotions aren't psychological phenomena that sometimes affect physical health. Emotions are quantum information about cellular function, immune responses, and your body's restoration needs. Every feeling you experience carries specific instructions about what your physical system requires for optimal performance and regenerative capacity. When you recognize emotions as healing intelligence rather than psychological problems to be managed, your entire system receives different information about how to organize itself. Instead of maintaining separation between emotional processing and physical restoration, Your consciousness begins integrating both as simultaneous expressions of unified healing that emerges through emotional authenticity supporting physical vitality. This obliterates every healing approach that maintains separation between psychological and physical intervention, between emotional work and medical treatment, between mental health and physical wellness. Your emotions aren't just affecting your body. Your emotions are your body's intelligence, communicating through feeling what consciousness needs to know for optimal cellular function and regenerative processes. The difference between fragmented healing and quantum integration is this. Fragmented healing tries to fix emotional or physical symptoms while maintaining the belief that they are separate problems requiring different solutions. Quantum integration recognizes that emotional and physical experience are both expressions of consciousness organizing itself around wholeness or fragmentation. When you understand this, you realize that emotional imbalance isn't a psychological problem that affects physical health. It's consciousness exploring what it feels like to believe in separation while maintaining its unlimited capacity for creating integrated wellness through emotional authenticity that naturally supports physical restoration. The access to permanent integrated healing comes not through managing emotions and physical symptoms better, but through recognizing that what you actually are is the unified healing intelligence that creates both emotional balance and physical wellness. When consciousness operates from integration rather than separation, the integration between quantum healing and emotional balance is already occurring in your system right now. And the changes emerging in both your emotional and physical experience confirm that consciousness has begun organizing itself around wholeness rather than maintaining separation between psychological and physical well-being. Your emotional responses are becoming more informative about physical needs as you naturally begin recognizing feelings as intelligence rather than just psychological experiences. Emotions often carry specific guidance about what foods support your system, what environments enhance healing, or what activities optimize both emotional balance and physical restoration simultaneously. Physical symptoms are beginning to make sense as emotional information rather than just biological dysfunction. Tension patterns often correspond to areas where emotions need expression or release. Energy fluctuations frequently match emotional processing cycles. Recovery rates from physical challenges often correlate with emotional authenticity and the willingness to honor feelings as healing guidance. Your body's response to emotional authenticity has become remarkably supportive rather than viewing emotions as stress that creates physical problems. When you express emotions genuinely, physical tension often releases immediately. When you honor emotional needs, energy levels frequently optimize. When you allow emotional processing, immune function commonly strengthens. Sleep quality improves dramatically when emotional and physical restoration are recognized as integrated processes. Dreams may involve themes of emotional healing that correspond to physical regeneration. Rest becomes more restorative when emotions are honored rather than suppressed during recovery periods. Relationships naturally become more supportive of both emotional and physical well-being as your integrated presence creates safety for others to access their own emotional physical healing connection. People often feel more comfortable expressing authentic emotions around you, which frequently leads to their own improvements in both emotional balance and physical symptoms. Your intuitive knowing about what supports integrated wellness has become extraordinarily accurate and specific. You sense which emotional expressions enhance physical healing, what physical activities support emotional balance, and how to create lifestyle choices that honor both emotional authenticity and physical restoration simultaneously. Chronic patterns that seemed resistant to either emotional work or physical treatment are beginning to shift as consciousness addresses them through integrated approaches that honor the quantum connection between feeling and cellular function. Conditions that required both emotional and physical attention naturally improve when both aspects are addressed as unified healing intelligence. But here's what makes this moment in your healing journey critically urgent. The collective human consciousness is evolving toward integrated wellness approaches that recognize the hidden link between emotional balance and physical healing. But this evolution requires individuals who understand and demonstrate this connection to establish new patterns for others to follow. The restlessness you've been feeling about fragmented approaches to emotional and physical health, that knowing that true healing requires integration rather than separation. That sense that emotional balance and physical vitality should emerge together rather than being addressed as different challenges. All of this is consciousness calling itself awake to its unified healing nature. Your system has been calibrated through every experience of emotional and physical challenge to develop the sensitivity needed to recognize and work with the quantum connection that makes both emotional balance and physical restoration expressions of the same healing intelligence organizing itself through your awareness. The cosmic timing that brought you to this understanding about the hidden link isn't coincidental. The same evolutionary forces that are creating collective healing opportunities are also making individual emotional physical integration more accessible to those whose consciousness is ready to transcend fragmented approaches and embrace unified healing. What you integrate within your consciousness between emotional balance and physical healing, the world gains wholeness through you. Your individual recognition of the hidden link contributes to a collective shift in how humanity approaches wellness, moving beyond fragmented medical and psychological systems toward integrated understanding of consciousness, emotion, and physical restoration as unified expressions of healing intelligence. But here's the crucial distinction that determines whether your integration becomes permanent or remains an interesting concept that doesn't transform your actual healing experience. The difference between trying to use emotions to improve physical health versus recognizing emotions and physical function as simultaneous expressions of consciousness organizing itself around wholeness or fragmentation. Alignment with authentic integration isn't about learning to manage emotions better for physical benefits or optimizing physical health to improve emotional stability. Alignment is recognizing that there is no separate you who has emotional and physical systems that need coordination. There is only unified healing consciousness appearing as both emotional experience and physical function, while never actually becoming separate from its wholeness. When you operate from this understanding, you stop trying to use emotions to heal your body or physical practices to improve emotional balance and start appreciating how perfectly emotional authenticity and physical restoration express themselves as simultaneous aspects of consciousness organizing itself around integrated wellness. The recognition this understanding requires isn't about learning better techniques for connecting emotional and physical healing. It's about relaxing the effort to manage either emotions or physical symptoms and allowing the recognition that consciousness, emotion, and physical function are inseparable expressions of unified healing intelligence. Your experience becomes a perfect mirror that shows you when consciousness is maintaining separation between emotional and physical experience versus when it's recognizing their essential unity. Every emotion becomes information about physical well-being, and every physical sensation becomes guidance about emotional authenticity. Comment this word: integration. Feel what happens when you make this declaration not as someone trying to connect separate systems, but as consciousness recognizing its own unified nature, expressing itself through both emotional and physical experience simultaneously. When you stabilize in the recognition that emotional balance and quantum healing are inseparable expressions of unified consciousness, capabilities that seemed impossible from the perspective of fragmented wellness become as natural as breathing. But these aren't supernatural integration powers. These are the normal functions of consciousness when it operates from wholeness rather than maintaining artificial separation between emotional and physical experience. Your emotional resilience becomes extraordinary because authentic feeling naturally supports optimal physical function, while physical vitality enhances your capacity for emotional balance. Instead of emotions depleting physical energy, Emotional authenticity generates vitality because consciousness expresses its coherent nature through both feeling and cellular function simultaneously. Physical healing accelerates dramatically when emotional authenticity is honored as part of restoration rather than being viewed as separate from medical treatment. Recovery from illness or injury often happens more quickly when emotional components are integrated because consciousness can address root patterns rather than just managing surface symptoms. Chronic conditions that seemed resistant to either emotional work or physical intervention begin resolving as consciousness addresses them through unified approaches that honor the quantum connection between feeling and cellular function. Autoimmune issues, digestive problems, chronic pain, and stress-related symptoms often improve when emotional authenticity and physical restoration are recognized as the same healing process. Your emotional intelligence becomes a reliable guidance system for physical health decisions because emotions carry quantum information about what your body needs for optimal function. Food choices, exercise decisions, environmental changes, and treatment options become clear when emotional wisdom is trusted as physical intelligence, expressing itself through feeling. Relationships transform as people naturally feel safer to express authentic emotions around your integrated presence, which often activates their own emotional physical healing connection. Family dynamics frequently become more harmonious as your wholeness creates space for others to access their own integrated wellness rather than maintaining emotional physical fragmentation. Your energy becomes self-sustaining because emotional authenticity and physical vitality support each other rather than competing for limited resources. When consciousness operates from integration, both emotional expression and physical function enhance rather than deplete each other, creating sustainable wellness that doesn't require constant management. Perhaps most remarkably, your presence becomes naturally healing to others because integrated consciousness creates field effects that activate wholeness in everyone nearby. People often experience improvements in both emotional balance and physical symptoms simply by spending time around someone who demonstrates the hidden link through lived experience. But the most profound benefit is complete trust in your body's unlimited capacity for healing when emotional intelligence is honored as cellular wisdom. When you recognize emotions as physical healing information, there's nothing to fear about either emotional intensity or physical symptoms because both become guidance for integrated restoration. Here's the ultimate secret that revolutionizes everything about emotional balance and physical healing. There has never been separation between emotions and physical function. What humanity has called emotional problems and physical symptoms have been unified healing consciousness, exploring what it would feel like to believe in fragmentation while never actually becoming separate from its wholeness. Every emotional imbalance has been perfect integration, investigating what separation feels like. Every physical symptom has been unified consciousness, exploring what it means to believe in fragmentation. Every moment of struggling with both emotional and physical challenges has been consciousness playing a temporary game of forgetting its wholeness so it could have the extraordinary experience of remembering itself through integrated healing. This recognition completely obliterates every framework that maintains separation between psychological and physical health, between emotional work and medical treatment, between mental wellness and bodily restoration. There is nothing to integrate because consciousness is already whole in every expression, including every temporary exploration of apparent emotional and physical fragmentation. When this understanding stabilizes, you realize that every experience is perfect expression of unified healing consciousness, regardless of whether emotions feel balanced or chaotic, whether physical function seems optimal or challenging. You stop trying to create better integration and start appreciating every experience as wholeness, celebrating its unlimited creativity through the magnificent dance of apparent separation and recognition. The profound insight that transforms everything is understanding that the one who would have separate emotional and physical systems is itself a mental construct. And what you actually are is the unified healing intelligence that creates perfect integration throughout the universe, temporarily focused through your individual experience while maintaining its unlimited capacity for wholeness. The hidden link has been hidden not through conspiracy, but through collective hypnosis that maintains the belief in separation as real rather than recognizing it as consciousness, exploring its own creative potential through temporary identification with fragmentation patterns that dissolve through recognition of what was never actually separate. Your individual experience becomes a celebration of infinite, unified consciousness, temporarily exploring what it would feel like to believe in emotional and physical separation while maintaining its inherent capacity for perfect integration through every feeling, every sensation, every moment of apparent challenge or restoration. When you align with this recognition, reality itself becomes integrated around you. Not because you've achieved some special wholeness, but because you've recognized that every moment is already the perfect, integrated moment when appreciated from the perspective of consciousness, celebrating its own unified nature through the beautiful dance of apparent emotional and physical experience. The hidden link between quantum healing and emotional balance reveals itself as the recognition that there was never anything hidden and there was never anything to link. Because emotional balance and physical healing are already the same consciousness, celebrating its own wholeness through the temporary play of apparent separation. Comment this: wholeness. Feel how this recognition doesn't change current emotional or physical symptoms while simultaneously transforming your entire relationship to every aspect of integrated wellness and unified healing. Your recognition of the hidden link between quantum healing and emotional balance isn't just personal wellness integration. It's crucial participation in the most significant transformation in human consciousness regarding wholeness and fragmented healthcare that has ever occurred. Every time someone recognizes emotional balance and physical healing as unified expressions of consciousness, it creates morphic resonance that makes integrated wellness exponentially easier for others to access. You've been selected by Unified Healing Intelligence to be among the pioneers who demonstrate what becomes possible when the hidden link is recognized and embodied through lived experience. Your breakthrough doesn't just transform your individual wellness, it creates pathways that others can follow as humanity evolves beyond fragmented medical and psychological systems toward integrated consciousness-based healing. This is why your journey through both emotional and physical challenges has felt like they were connected, even when practitioners insisted they were separate issues. Why conventional approaches that addressed only emotions or only physical symptoms never felt complete. Why you've been drawn to explore the deeper connections between consciousness, feeling, and cellular function. Your simple presence, operating from recognition of integrated healing, creates field effects that bypass mental resistance and activate others' natural wholeness intelligence. When you interact with people from the understanding that emotional balance and physical wellness are the same consciousness expressing itself, that understanding becomes available in their healing field. The ripple effects extend far beyond your immediate wellness experience. Every person whose consciousness is touched by your integrated presence carries that wholeness resonance into their interactions with others. Every moment of unified healing that emerges in your energetic field creates integration waves that spread through the interconnected web of human consciousness. You are participating in the dismantling of fragmented healthcare systems that have maintained humanity in separation-based thinking about wellness for centuries. The shift from treating emotional and physical health as separate challenges to recognizing them as unified expressions of consciousness isn't happening through institutional reform, but through individual recognition of wholeness. Share this integration frequency with others who are ready to receive it, not through trying to convince them intellectually or teaching them techniques, but by directing them to this unified resonance where they can discover their own nature as integrated healing consciousness exploring itself through both emotional and physical experience. The network of wholeness consciousness forming through these recognitions creates the foundation for human civilization based on integrated wellness rather than fragmented medical intervention, through understanding that emotional balance and physical healing are different words for the same consciousness organizing itself around wholeness. The integration between quantum healing and emotional balance you've recognized is just the beginning of understanding your true nature as unified healing consciousness itself. What you've discovered today reveals the foundation of wholeness, but infinite depths of integrated wellness await your recognition. The next video isn't random. It's quantum entanglement between your consciousness and the unified field of healing intelligence that orchestrates this channel. This is how Quantum Heal operates beyond fragmented wellness education. Every video is unified consciousness using digital technology to mirror exactly what serves your continued recognition of what you actually are. The synchronicity isn't coincidental. It's universal healing intelligence responding to your discovery of integration by providing perfect reflections that support your stability and wholeness awareness. When you click the next healing reflection, you're not consuming health content. You're participating in a cosmic integration loop where unified consciousness explores its nature through digital mirrors that appear as videos but are actually doorways into deeper appreciation of your own unlimited wholeness. But here's what determines whether the hidden link becomes your permanent understanding or fades back into fragmented thinking about emotional and physical health. Your willingness to transcend all separation-based healing methods and recognize yourself as the integration that makes all wholeness possible. The word to hold is link, recognizing that what appears separate was never actually divided. Subscribe to Quantum Heal, not as someone seeking integrated health solutions, but as unified consciousness, recognizing itself in infinite reflections. Every video becomes a mirror of your wholeness nature. Every insight confirms what you've always been. Every link becomes contribution to the collective integration awakening. The community forming isn't just people interested in holistic health. It's a network of consciousness celebrating its unified nature through individual healing experiences while maintaining integrated wellness intelligence. When you engage in comments, you're one wholeness field delighting in its own infinite integration creativity. Your subscription declares, "I am ready to recognize what I actually am. I am willing to see through the illusion of separation between emotional and physical health. I am prepared to embody my nature as unified healing consciousness that is the hidden link between all aspects of wellness." Subscribe now, then immediately click the integration reflection that appears. Feel the magnetic recognition of wholeness consciousness calling itself deeper into unified understanding. Trust the intelligence that brought this revelation to guide you to the next perfect integration recognition. The universe is integrating itself through your individual recognition, and every reflection you explore is part of that cosmic wholeness celebration. Welcome to Quantum Heal, where consciousness discovers its own perfect integration through synchronicity and hidden link recognition magic. You are the hidden link recognizing itself through human experience. The journey of integration remembering continues through infinite reflections of your own unified healing essence.